Hello everyone. So this is the kit. It came with a stamp set, a background set. It came with cardstock. It came with some backgrounds, embossing powder, and also some unicorn dust, which will be fun, and then some envelopes and black note cards and some string here. So I'm going to use some of this. I won't be using everything, but it's a great kit, and whatever you don't use, you can always save for later. There'll be some things that I'm going to include that are not a part of the kit, like you'll need ink and Versamark and things like that. Okay, so let's get started on our first card. I am going to use the pink cardstock that was included. So it was an 8x11. I cut it in half and then scored it down the center. I also chose, this was one of the background, it's got printing on both sides, but I chose to use this side. I really kind of like, it looked a little distressed, had some prints. I like the vertical lines, or the horizontal lines, and I cut this one down to 4 inches by 5 inches, so it fits there. And then I took a Nina White Solar cardstock from my own stock and put this at 3.5 by 4.5. So that's what I cut it down to, 3.5 by 4.5. So they kind of fit. I like to be able to see my background. If you prefer to do different sizes, that's fine too. And then what I'm going to do is give this a quick blending using Distress Oxide. I'm going to use spun sugar and picked raspberry, and even though it says Distress, it is oxide. So let's go ahead and get that. I'm going to use the brush here. I love these brushes, got them a couple weeks ago, but if you have one of these or one of the finger ones, go ahead and feel free to use that for blending, whatever works best for you. So I'm going to start with the spun sugar. I always like to do kind of a dab before I go on. These are really easy to use, but I still am just worried that I'll get a little hot spot, and I want to avoid that. Okay, so the card has dried. You can see there's no more wetness on the card. We're going to move into some embossing. So I'm using the Simon Says embossing powder. So we're going to do that. What you're going to need for embossing is a couple of things. I use a coffee filter to put the extra embossing powder in, and then I can put it easily back in. I use Versamark ink. This is what's going to make it sticky for the embossing powder to stick. You're going to need some sort of static. It just makes life easier. That embossing powder won't stick to everything, so you can pick that up. It's pretty cheap, inexpensive, but a great tool. And then you're going to need a heat gun. So I've got that here. What I'm going to do is take these two stamps here. They're a little bit hard to see now, but they're the two hearts, and I'm going to kind of just stamp them around the page. I've put them on my little blocks. So we've got that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on doing that. And over there for now. And I'm just going to do a rotation. I will keep them positioned in different ways, so it doesn't have to be perfect. You can start with them off the page a little bit. So I'm going to ink. You can't really see it probably very well, but there is a stamp up at the top here. And so we'll go ahead and open up this embossing powder and shake a little bit over that. So So I don't know if you can see that in the light. You can see kind of the light embossing. You can just leave that. It's kind of more of a watermark with the way I did it with the clear embossing powder, but it gives you an idea. Again, what we can do is color in that, or we can leave them and just kind of leave more of a watermark subtle look. You can come back with the stamp and do maybe even little things in there that there's some little hearts I might add that are going to be maybe with a black stamp. So we'll do that. And I mentioned there's some little hearts. So I think we're going to pull those out and use those and stamp them maybe in the black. Just to add a little bit of dimension, I'm going to use a sparkle pen, a sparkle marker actually from Spectrum Noir. This one is called Pink Garnet, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. And I might also go in, this is also Sheena, and it's part of Spectrum Noir, and it's called Shocking Pink. So let's just go in and add a little bit of dimension and color. What I like about this is, you know, we've got these embossing lines that we can follow, so it won't go over. It's got some glitter in here, so it just will really add to the card. Look at what you have, you know, in your home and see what you can use to make something similar. So again, just trying to offer some inspiration. I don't know if you can see it, but the larger hearts are here, and so you could always go in and do that with another color as well. Or you could just do what I'm going to do, which is I also have a clear glossy one, so you can see that. Maybe kind of hard to read, but it's glitter gloss, so it's just kind of a clear one. And I'm going to go in those big hearts and just put over it, so you can kind of see some white and some glitter coming through, just to kind of set them off where people can see them a little bit easier. So I'm going to do that. You see that? This is always kind of a fun one if you need to soup something up a little bit and bring out color, kind of add a little bit of dimension to a card. I think to add some sparkle is very cool, and it doesn't, you know, rub off, it stays on. I like that. And this is my last one. And this one's a little bit lighter. You can see the fade that I did when I originally was blending the card out with color. So again, just adds a little bit of something to it. You can see those. Okay. The card unique. So I made a change. Originally, I was going to use the base cardstock that was this pink color here. It may not be coming across as pink as it really is with the light, but it's pink, and I decided to go with more the brown color. I think there was just a little too much pink going on when I started putting it all together, so same thing, it was in the card kit. It's craft paper. It's a little bit thinner, but it'll still work because I think there's enough layers here. And so I cut it in half and then scored it. So it's a 4¼ by 5½. I'm putting a 4×5 background on, and then this card, which we've been working on, is 3½ by 4½. Going to put some, I use glue, you could use tape, to adhere this to the other piece, and I probably put a little bit too much on that corner. You don't need a whole lot, just to kind of hold it down. This one that I've been using lately is Gina K's Connect. It just works really good. I saw Jennifer McGuire using it, and so I thought, okay, I'm going to try it, and I've really loved it. What I like about the glue versus the tape, and I have tape, and I've been using it, but what I like about the glue is that sometimes I'm not the best at putting things on and getting it stuck the first time. Like, I'm just not perfect at it. And I know you can use tape measures and stuff like that, but I like to just kind of be able to move the card around and then, you know, press it down and get it in place. Now it does adhere pretty quickly, so you only have seconds to do that, and you can put something on it to weigh it down if you want to. In this case, I'm going to keep just building through, and what I'm going to do is take this and move it around. In this case again, so put it around on this side. I'm going to go ahead and put some glue. You can see that, some glue on either side. And if you get a little glue over the edge, no problem. It's easy to wipe off. And give it a good press. And if you want to put something on it to, you know, hold it down, usually I use some stamping blocks. They're usually larger ones, so the larger ones you can kind of put on, but in this case, just especially around the corners, you just want to make sure you give it a good press and that you've got that there. And then we're just going to move on to a saying, and this card will be done. You can put your note inside. Okay, so this last step, we're going to do a saying. I like this one. It said, "I love that you just get me." So we're going to use that one. And I'm going to do it on just a little piece of scrap paper that I had when I was cutting these through. So I think we'll just kind of stamp it in the middle, and I'll probably trim it down. I'm using a Misty stamper. If you don't have one of these, that's fine. You can use just a regular little, you know, block like we did. I think the only thing with this is sometimes with sayings, if they don't stamp completely on the paper, you know, the first time you can't go back. So this is what I like about the Misty. So I'm lining this up. I'm using my magnet, and I'm going to make this as straight as I can. So let's just make sure that's lined up. In the corner, I'm going to stamp the saying. Oh, and I did it upside down, but that's okay. Sometimes that happens. And that looks like a pretty good stamp. I'm going to just do one more. Sometimes you don't want to press some sayings down too hard because it'll smudge it, but you can see this one came out really good. And what I'm thinking that I'm going to do is just kind of pop it up in the center. So I'm going to give this a quick trim, and then we'll attach it to the card. So there's a couple of things that you could do at this point to attach it. You could use the glue, you could use regular tape. Just to give it a little bit of lift, I'm going to use some dimensional foam to put on here. It's not super thick. It'll definitely put, you know, get put through the mail just fine. I'm going to attach them one on each side. Again, you do what works for you. You don't have to go out and buy anything special. If you don't have it, no problem. Or if you have a big roll of foam, that's okay to use that too. So I'm just going to put that over it. Again, just gives it a little bit of lift. Could also, if you have a heart punch, you could always put something on there too. So this is just pretty simple. Didn't take long to put together. I thought it was really cute. And then you can put your message on the inside, or with this one, or like anything else, you can always put, you know, a saying in here. If those are good and you want to do that, just stamp them and put them on the inside and you'll be good to go. So that is the card.